innovation. Laila has worked with different UN organizations, including the Research Fellowship on e-government. And also, she's also the founder of the Smart Cities Ambassadors Program. So, Laila, welcome. I also have with us today Emad Al-Khaja. He's the CEO of Injaz, Qatar. Of course, Emad, you're an entrepreneur, you're an active member of the civil society, and you've been leading this amazing business, not only in Qatar, but globally, to support entrepreneurs and young people to have access to skills and more opportunities. You have an MBA degree from Paris School of Business and a bachelor degree in economics from the New York Institute of Technology. And you also have been working recently with UNITAR. By the way, we had UNITAR in the panels yesterday. Last but not least, my colleague Viridiana Garcia-Quiles, who leads the eTrade for Women program at the United Nations Conference on Trade Development, UNCTAD, in Geneva. This is an amazing program to empower women on entrepreneurship, and Viridiana has been working across different UN agencies, including UNESCO, by the way, in the Arab region, as well as UNDP in New York. And Viridiana has graduated from Sciences Po in Paris, and also has an MBA from the Paris School of Economics. So welcome, all of you. I'm so impressed by the diversity of the panel, not only in terms of regions, but also in terms of experiences. And again, as we said in the beginning, we were having a discussion today about successful programs in the region. And I'm very happy to start. So I'm just opening here my follow-up questions. I'm very happy to start with Emad. He told me he didn't want to start, but I think it will be very nice to have his overview on what his organization is doing, not only in Qatar, but beyond. And that's the great thing to see today. One of the greatest things about this conference, the Arab SME Summit, is that we're seeing successful experiences from the Arab region having a global impact. So, my friend, over to you. I think we have the mic. I think it's working. Not yet. Now it's working.
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you, first of all, very much for having me on this panel, and thank you for the ESQA as well for the kind invitation. First things first. Are you guys ready for the World Cup? Yeah? Great. If I may just start by giving a brief introduction about my organization, Injaz Qatar, and then I'll move forward to the question, which is a very big question, so we'll have to dissect it a little bit. So Injaz Qatar is an educational NGO, and it's a member of an international NGO called Junior Achievement, which is considered to be one of the world's largest and oldest educational NGOs, that focus especially on entrepreneurship. I think it was founded in 1919, so it's over 100 years old. In Qatar, we are under the umbrella of Injaz al-Arab, which this year we all celebrated 15 years in the region and 15 years as well in Qatar. So what do we do as an organization, whether Injaz or Junior Achievement? We focus on youth development within 3 key areas. Entrepreneurship is on top of the list, and then we have work readiness or employability skills, and financial literacy, which I believe the 3 pillars are very much interconnected. We believe in our methodology that these soft skills, or what we call the 21st century skills, are very much practical skills that shouldn't be learned only in the classroom. So one of the examples that I want to showcase today is one of the main entrepreneurial programs that is delivered worldwide for more than 10 million students every year. It's called the Company Program, which is an entrepreneurial program that takes school students and university students through the whole life cycle of a business in a very practical way, hands-on, getting their hands dirty, and going through the whole life cycle of the business, from the ideation phase to the research, the validation, the financials, the marketing, the whole lot, practically. And then, of course, we worked closely with a lot of stakeholders that I'm going to talk about later on in my speech in Qatar, within the Qatari entrepreneurial ecosystem, such as the incubators, the development bank, investors, etc. It's in my true belief that entrepreneurship and part of our mission is not just having the idea turned into a business. We do believe that entrepreneurship skills, or entrepreneurial skills, sorry, is a collection of a lot of skills that are very much needed for our youth today. It could be entrepreneurship, could be turned into intrapreneurship in a lot of ways, but I've seen the effect of this program in our students. A lot of students changed their majors because of this program, for example. A lot of students gained a lot of skills and soft skills because of this program. So I'm a huge supporter for entrepreneurial education to be taught in schools and universities in a mandated fashion. And thanks to the Ministry of Education in Qatar and their belief in our mission and vision, this program is now actually mandated and it's part of the schooling system in Qatar. I'm also a firm believer in starting early. Any of those, by the way, when I said start early, when the first time I introduced this idea to teachers and the ministry and the parents, and I told them we need to start from grade 1, introducing entrepreneurship skills. Everyone laughed at me, obviously, and that this is too advanced. Students will not understand what we are talking about, and we proved them wrong. Students actually knew what we were talking about. As early as 6, 7, 8, 10 years old, they knew exactly what we're talking about. One of the students had the dream to have I don't know, create their own crazy idea of a car and sell it, and they thought crazy ideas, which is, crazy, by the way, is my favorite word. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to be crazy. Crazy with ideas, crazy with innovation. Innovation starts with these outrageous ideas, and I saw that in youth. So now we are introducing this in a mandated fashion through the schools from grade 1. And this is the first time that it's happening in Qatar. Now, back to your question. That was a long intro. Back to your questions. I want to make 2 declarations first. And everyone who knows me, I have no filter, so bear with me. Huh? No, we're done with that. The first thing is, this is an amazing summit. I've heard a lot of great ideas and great shared best practices amongst different countries. What I notice is that every country has a complete different profile, complete different opportunities, complete different challenges and difficulties, and being part of a regional organization as well, we get to hear a lot about other countries. And I realized that we have a lot of differences. Some commonalities, but there are also a lot of differences. And I hope one day we can bring these differences closer and closer together to a unified Narnian ecosystem in the Arab world. The second thing I wanted to mention is, as of recently, I have become an entrepreneur myself. So I want to start with a statement. How many entrepreneurs here today? Great. Being an entrepreneur is hard. It's difficult. There is no magic formula for it. But I want to pick your brain with something. Everyone picked my brain in the past few years with a question. And I want to pick your brain with one question, please. Do you believe that entrepreneurs are born or nurtured? So raise your hand if you believe entrepreneurs are born. People are born with this genetic code that they know how to start a business. Raise your hand. Born. Okay. Entrepreneurs are nurtured. You can train anyone to be an entrepreneur. Raise your hand. Okay. More. I don't know the answer. Sorry. Don't even Google it. I'm sorry? Both. Okay, great. My idea, you might not agree with me, and like I said, don't try to Google it. Google will not help you. But my idea is that I do believe entrepreneurs are born. But this is my humble idea. However, successful entrepreneurs are nurtured. So I do believe that Being an entrepreneur is a special breed, but then to turn it into a successful venture, yes, you need training. You need to acquire skills. And this is why we're all here today, to share best practices and help entrepreneurs. I'm one of you guys. Okay. The idea of what needs to be done and what needs to be changed to help entrepreneurs and help the ecosystem, especially in Arab countries. One of the commonality that I noticed amongst all countries is not on a skill level, but more on a cultural level. On a cultural level in the sense of a lot of, in the Arab countries, we're very employment-based and very employment-focused countries. We rely heavily on employment. So the idea of quit your job, do your own business, sounds very risky, dangerous, outrageous. People still cannot fathom and fully digest this idea that yes, you can be your own boss, you can have your own dream come true, you can have some passion turned into a business. I feel like this difficulty is still very persistent. In Injaz, yes, we still have this challenge. The challenge to convince not only youth, but also their families and parents, is that you can have that change in your life. So what we're trying to do is create a cultural change. How do we do that? The whole ecosystem has to work together in order to enforce that change. Who is the ecosystem? Now, we've said the word ecosystem a million times now since yesterday. Who are the ecosystem? Who is in the stakeholders in the ecosystem? We have the legislation, the regulators. We have the funders, investors, angel investors, financial institutions, incubators, NGOs, public sector, private sector. Did I miss anything? Thank you. Educational sector is the key. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you want to make change, change is a process. Process takes time, takes step, takes strategy. You want to change culture, we have to start with education. And this is what we're doing. Well, I'm promoting Injaz now, but this is what we're doing at Injaz. We're trying to promote that change of culture. I'm going to leave you just with one last thought. Sorry, I took more than 5 minutes. One of my favorite shows of all time is Dragon's Den. Who here watches Dragon's Den? Okay, great. Which is the British version of Shark Tank. Who here watches Shark Tank? Okay. I don't like the American version. But I really like watching the show. It's exciting, it's funny, it's inspiring. I like it when they fight. But there's one thing that came out of this show that I realized. One key skill that every entrepreneur needs to have is emotional intelligence. You need to have the full understanding of yourself, of people around you. You need to have fully understanding of situations and decision-making process. All of this needs high emotional intelligence level. And I believe all of the examples of successful entrepreneurs have high emotional intelligence. I'm not going to say the names of the international successful entrepreneurs because we need more Arab names to use. So I'm not going to say Musk and whoever. So I think emotional intelligence, again, this is one of the key factors. But how do we get there? Can we shape the youth and young entrepreneurs and train them to have higher emotional intelligence? Yes, we can. The soft skills education that I talked about, this is actually a big factor in emotional intelligence, and this is how you train the youngsters to start building this emotional intelligence until the time is right for them to actually become entrepreneurs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you, Emad. A question, how do I sign up to work with you? So I'm happy to pass the floor now to Laila Hadhrami. And Laila, as I said in the beginning, you've been leading many programs on smart cities across the Arab region. So the question I have to you, how can we equip people, to lead the regional transition for the future of the cities? And what are the opportunities for entrepreneurs in this new environment of smart cities? You have the floor.
Alaikum wabarakatuh. Marhaba. I hope that you are still awake till this moment, because I know all of you feel, full, so you're going to feel sleepy. So hopefully that you're going to enjoy, the discussion with all of my colleagues. So thanks, Gabriel, for asking this question. Everyone is asking about smart cities. So let me first, speak about smart cities. What is really smart city? Because, since yesterday when I was introducing myself, I am a smart city development manager, and people, they were asking me, what is that? We heard a lot about it. And I said, you can join our panel discussion so we can know more about the smart cities. So what is exactly the smart cities? Is it a smart city in Barcelona, in Paris, in, somewhere around the world? Is it just in these locations? Or where exactly? Or is it in Mars, in the moon? The smart cities, actually our cities. Yes, and when I say it's our cities, it is here in Amman, Muscat, you name it. It's our cities. And the concept of smart cities, how it really started. It started when the mega cities, and when I say the mega cities, it's the cities, with a huge population, almost like 10 million population in each city. So you can imagine the kind of challenges that you're going to find it in each city. Definitely going to find a lot of, challenges. One of it, for example, the environment challenges that Gabriel asked me about it. And, for example, the unemployment, sometimes the security. So the concept of smart city came, why? To improve the quality of life for each one of you here. All of us, we deserve to live in a city so we can feel happy, secure, right? You don't want to say, I'm living here in this city, but I'm going to live it after 1 year. So each one of you, ask yourself, am I happy in my city? Or I'm thinking to move? Okay, why you are thinking to move from your city? What are the challenges that you're going to face it? So from that concept, the challenges of smart cities, now all the world is going towards the human, improving the quality of life for humans. So how can we link, the smart cities to the opportunities? We have 17 sustainable goals, in the United Nations. Do you know these sustainable development goals? All of you know it. Okay, great. And sometimes we say, why we need to have these goals? Do we have to follow these goals? You might have, a luxury life that you are feeling happy, comfortable. So congratulations that you are living in the smart, sustainable city. But some people, they will say, no, we are still having some issues sometimes with health, environment, education. Till today, some countries, they do not have, for example, health services. They do not have food, clean water. So imagine. So why we need it? We need it for the human of these cities to live equally just like anyone around the world. So if you are going to the SDGs, we have 17 goals. Think about your city. If you are an entrepreneur, think about it. What is the missing goal? How can I overcome that challenge? That is going to be opportunity for you. Then you ask yourself, what are the main services for me as a citizen that I need? Think about yourself. The woman, the men, what are the main services that you are looking for? For example, I'm living in a city. We all care about the main services, which is, we call the smart utilities, right? And when we say about the smart utilities, for example, we care a lot about, for example, to get accurate billing, for the electricity, the water. So we need smart devices for the water and electricity. How many times we, the woman, we are cooking and suddenly, the gas. How many of you, you are using the gas till today? And the gas is, over and you get panic. How many of you? Raise your hand. So we need now the smart solutions so we can, the gas, automated, or let me say, using the electrical so cannot get panic, so can feel secure and happy. So if you are going to live in that city, so you can say, okay, there's a challenge, so let me work in that solution. So this is how we can think about it. You think about the challenges as opportunities for you. So, and as I said, the smart city is going now around the world. It's the future. Some cities, they said, we're going to call it sustainable cities. Some cities, they started calling it cognitive city. But finally, it's about how we're going to build our, smart cities for our people to live happily, right? It's all about, us, how we can feel happy. And let me go to the other point. We spoke now about the opportunities. So what can be some examples? If I'm going, for example, because now I'm working with the private sector. My company started as a startup, by the way, in 2012. It started first with the smart utilities for the smart devices for the water and the energy. And in order to succeed, we have our own business model. And this is my advice for everyone here. If you are going to provide your solutions for your client, don't go and give it to them as a device. They don't care about it as a solution, as a device. They care about it as integrated result. They care mostly about the data. When we mention a lot about the data, so how can you make it integrated ecosystem? And Emad already mentioned about the ecosystem. So you have also to build your innovation roadmap and think about it. You're going to invent, for example, a solution, but no need to invent. You might have the solution already invented, for example, by Ali or Emad. So you can just borrow their solution, and then hear the beauty of smartness. You bring the solution, then you integrate it, because in order to make it, working efficiently, you have to think about the connectivity. Am I going to use 5G, or am I going to use LoRaWAN? Because there's a lot of connectivities. So then link it to the connectivity that is approved in your country. So make sure, if you are going to bring also a solution, go back to the regulations sector. Are these connectivity approved for this device? If yes, yes, then you can start with it. And then link it to the cloud. And finally, to the dashboards. So your client cares a lot about the dashboards. And try to have your own business model. And when I say your own business model, because now, by the way, most of the governments, most of the cities around the world, when you go and you say, I have a new solution, they don't care. They said, okay, if it's really expensive, thank you so much. We're not ready to use. It's the same what's happening now, for example, the metaverse. Do you heard about the metaverse? Do you know the metaverse? The metaverse started recently, right? But the metaverse is there a long time ago. It started in 2003. But the world was not ready at that time. But recently, because of COVID-19, everyone started using the metaverse. So even Facebook, they changed their name to Meta because they believe it is time now to use metaverse. So we have to adapt also the new technology. Yesterday, I met one of the, for example, entrepreneurs in the exhibition, and I was asking them about their solution. I said, what do you have? And they said, we have the AR and VR. And I said, come on. If you want to market for a solution, nobody's going to deal with you. You have to use the language of this time. Everyone now is using metaverse. They are no more, they are saying AR and VR. So if you want to succeed, you have also to use the same terms that everyone are using. So make sure that your technology is aligned. And I also met one colleague, Nisreen, and she said, we have traceability, a solution and so on, and also we use another blockchain. I said, Nisreen, blockchain has to be priority at the beginning when you introduce it to your clients. Because now everyone, they heard about the fourth industrial revolution. Because sometimes we think this is not existing. But if you are an entrepreneur, you have to emphasize in that technology. You use it, so market for it. So you can't get the business. Because all of you want to get the business, right? So make sure to mention the language that everyone loves to hear. And have your unique ecosystem. And when I say your unique ecosystem, make it sustainable. Say, I'm going to make sure about everything. I'm going to give you different options. So this is how you're going to succeed. Because I'm telling you, I was in the government. If you go and tell me I'm going to sell you this device, I say, thank you so much, bye-bye. So be careful. Try to make it as a very, let me say, interactive story that everyone, they would love to listen to. So you say, okay, tell us more. Tell us more. We are really excited to know more about your solution. So this is how it's going to be. Create your own ecosystem. And when I say it is your own ecosystem, you're going to decide, as Emad said, who's going to be your, let me say, partners, let me say, stakeholders, and so on. So it has to be. I'm always saying there's 5 main pillars when it comes to the smart ecosystem. The government, so you can have everyone in the government, the private sector, the academia, startup SMEs, and finally the individuals who are going to use that service. So make sure that one will be in front of you. This is how can make the challenges opportunities for you. So thank you so much.
That was very, very exciting. So I'd like to invite my friend, my colleague, Ali Haddad. Ali, we've been discussing before the event about the challenge of tackling the high proportion of unemployment in the region, not only in Jordan, but of course, you've been leading an important initiative in Jordan to tackle youth unemployment. So would you be able to share with us more about what you've been doing and what are the challenges in terms of youth unemployment, which relates, of course, to what we've been discussing, what Emad said in the beginning, that people, the youth in general in the region, they're much thinking about employment and how entrepreneurship is, might be an option on that. And so over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much for this great opportunity. Actually, it's not easy to speak after Emad and Laila. There's really good speakers. And I'm already overwhelmed with the amounts of ideas, inspiring stories, entrepreneurs, startups since yesterday. And before diving to the available opportunities for the youth in the Arab region to entering the global market, I am an engineer and I love numbers. I would love to share a few numbers with you to think about it. 400 million people lost their job during COVID. It's sad, but nowadays 47%, according to the World Bank, 47% of the global workers are freelancers. Freelancers represent 25% of the European digital workforce. 25%. And look at this number, $1.3 trillion. Again, I have your attention after the heavy lunch. $1.3 trillion is the US freelancers worker annual earning this year. So what I'm trying to say is that there is a huge opportunities for the youth in Jordan and in the Arab region. Freelancing, solopreneurs, remote working, it's a great opportunities and it's booming at the moment. And in order to tackle this opportunity, me and my colleagues in Jordan Youth Innovation Forum, we work to increase the youth active participation in the development process, finding more economic opportunities. We look at this opportunity and we have deep thinking, analyzing the ecosystem, and we come up with a program called AFAQ. So what is AFAQ? So basically it's a program targeting the youth in Jordan and the Arab region to empower them to become freelancers and solopreneurs, to enter the digital economy and the global market. How we do that? By equipping them with the right skills, with mentorship, with a training, and in a 3-month program, and link them to the online platforms of freelancing. In the initial phase, we targeting 1,000 Jordanian, and hopefully, we will target millions in the Arab region. I will give an example and how we do that. So I will give an example of Rashid. Rashid is a young Jordanian who graduated 2 years ago and joined the unemployment tribe in Jordan. It's the biggest tribe. 50% of the youth in Jordan are unemployed, according to the World Bank. 50%. So he joined the unemployment tribe 2 years ago. Early this year, he joined our pilot program in AFAQ, and in 3 months, he was able to have the basic skills to become a freelancer. From building his profile, he's a web developer, by the way, to building his profile, to building his portfolio, how to present your service, how to do marketing for yourself as a freelancer, how to manage your time. It's really hard to work alone. How to negotiate with a client, closing deals, follow up with a client, and most importantly, how to deliver a high-end service. A few months ago, he moved from being a freelancer to solopreneurs and joined a force with the other colleagues of other freelancers to deliver products. And by the way, how many of us aware of solopreneur term? By raising hand. Okay. And how many of us aware of the freelancing? Okay, great. So Rashid used to be a freelancer as a web developer, but then he discovered that there are people looking for a final product. That's mean not only a developer, content writer, designer, analytics, other services. So he combined these services from other freelancers, and he became a solopreneur who can deliver a product. And by the way, Rashid is here. Please, Rashid, stand up. If you if you look to someone who can build your product, please contact Rashid. He's one of congratulations and accomplishments of AFAQ first round. And please approach him if you need to develop any product. He's, I guess he's running a team of 7 freelancers between Jordan and Egypt. And he's available in many platforms online like Upwork.com and other platforms. Yesterday also I met another interesting person. His name is Abdullah Shraim from Kuwait. Abdullah Shraim, he is building a freelancing platform in the Arab region. And this is an invitation for the investor. Abdullah have really good ideas. He's already having the MVP. Please, approaching him. He's right there. Please stand up, Abdullah. Stand up. Guys, trust me. Freelancing is booming, and he's targeting the region here where we have less freelancer online. It's a great opportunity for you as an investor with a high return of investments. Abdullah, all the best for your projects in Kuwait. And I'd like to end by 2 invitations. The first one, there is a very interesting side event here organized by the youth about freelancing and solopreneurship. And you know what we learn in the Arab region when the youth planning something? Do not ignore them. They are here. They're in a room called Ploto, and there is great things happens. So it's an invitation for all of you to join them. Please have a look there. They're talking about really great ideas. They're challenging the ecosystem to think out of the box, to finding opportunities for the youth abroad and beyond our region. The second invitation is for all these stakeholders, everybody interested in duplicate the AFAQ projects, expand the idea in your country. We are here. Please approach me, anyone from my team in Jordan Youth Innovation Forum. We love to work with you. We have nothing to hide. We can give you all the curriculums. It's easy. You can run it even online with a minimum cost. And that's it. Thank you very much.
I think, yeah, now you're on. Shukran, Ali, and thank you so much for this very exciting presentation. I'm so glad to see so many entrepreneurs here, and I'd like to welcome as well all of you to the discussion. And we will get back to questions in the end, of course. And I'd like now to invite my colleague, Viridiana, from the UNCTAD, to actually present a little bit more about the initiatives on empowering women on entrepreneurship. And the question I have to you, how we can do more in the Arab region? What else can the UNCTAD and other organizations do to support women entrepreneurs from this country and from the region? Over to you. Please.
Thank you. So very nice being here with you today and speaking after this inspiring panel. My name is Viridiana, and I work at the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. And I'm happy today to share a bit about the work we do to support women. We have talked a lot about youth, about communities, smart cities, and I think it's about time we also talk a bit about women entrepreneurs. There are a few of you in the room, and I'm glad to share our work. So I'll start. Okay. I'll start with a bit of information to set the stage. Basically, we know that digitalization has been booming, including here in the Arab region over the past few years. I've met already over the past 2 days many digital entrepreneurs who are using these opportunities to build innovative businesses. I've met somebody from Palestine building a digital video company for tourism. I've met an entrepreneur from Turkey who is doing data analytics. Another one based in Lebanon, explaining and making blockchain understandable to others. I mean, there are many, many things going on, which I think is very positive. And to give you just a concrete sense of what this means also for e-commerce, just last year in 2021, this e-commerce market in the region generated over $30 billion, and it's growing really fast. So there are many opportunities. But this picture is not all great, and especially when we look at women in this digital space. Women that are really lagging behind. They're not taking as much advantage as the digital economy as men. And I've just selected 2 figures to get a sense again, even if data is really difficult to find, but 2 figures that speak quite eloquently. First, we know that only 56% of women in the region use the internet, as compared to almost 70% of men. That's a lot of women who are not online, who are not using, even through mobile or access to a computer, they're not using the potential of e-commerce, of digital. They're out of the digital world. And if we look at entrepreneurship per se, here I'm not talking about digital, just entrepreneurship, only 1 in 4 companies in the MENA has some female ownership. And here I think we have a few exceptional women, but still the imbalance is quite present. What we learn from women who are working in the digital space, when we talk to them, we try to understand the challenges they face. In addition to the usual entrepreneurial challenges, the digital economy challenges, they face very specific challenges related to their gender. And what they tell us is that for them, it's more difficult to be a woman because there are still many gender biases, heavy social norms. They have time constraints. They still need to take care of many duties at home. They have to meet with family expectations more than their male counterparts. They also feel that they are less connected. They don't have access to the right networks to help them grow a business. And also when they try to set up a business and raise funding, many times they have very heavy difficulties raising the funding because they are women, not because of the company, not because of the business plan, but because they're not trusted. We have many women in our network who have explained to us that when they were meeting with potential investors, they were bringing a brother, a father, a colleague. Even if they were the founder, the men were doing the pitch and trying to convince the investors, because as women, they wouldn't be taken seriously. So based on these different challenges, a few years ago at UNCTAD, we decided to create the eTrade for Women initiative. And this is an initiative that's quite young, but targets a specific group of women entrepreneurs, women who have a digital business. And our idea is to help them grow, help them scale up, so that they can become a real driver of growth, of economic growth, of jobs, and development. And we do this through 4 pillars, 4 types of activities, and it relates a lot to what Ali just presented for youth. Basically, we want to inspire women so that they see that it is possible to become an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur in the digital economy. We want to empower them, so we provide skills, training, so that they can grow as leaders. We also offer them a space to connect, and this relates to the fact that women have a harder time accessing relevant networks. So we offer them a space where they can interact with like-minded peers, other women who face similar challenges, who have similar ideas. And we want to give them a voice. We're the UN. We usually support, we work with governments, policymakers, and we want to bring the voice of women entrepreneurs to the table, to the policy table, so that the regulatory environment becomes a bit more responsive, more enabling for them. So now, I've spoken general terms. I wanted to take a few minutes just to introduce you to a few of our beneficiaries. So you can see in the picture, these women are based all over the world. Right now, we have a community in Latin America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, and earlier this year, we started a community here in the Arab region. Right now, we have about 20 active women entrepreneurs from the Arab region. Each one of them is the founder of a business. All of them are operating in the digital sector, so they have e-commerce businesses, fintech, agri-tech, all over the spectrum. And actually, I'm pleased to say that we have a few of them today with us in the room. So we hope to continue growing this community. All of them are based in developing countries, and what we also look for is for women who want to make an impact. They're not just focusing on building a business, they also want to influence an ecosystem and trigger other people to benefit from the digitalization process. So a few figures. These are still humble figures, but we're very proud of them. We have been impacting over 200 digital businesses worldwide. We have 6 communities, networks of women entrepreneurs around the world. We're present in 40 countries with these women, and we have organized 9 training masterclasses for them. And we rely on 3 cohorts of advocates. I will explain in a minute what these advocates are. These numbers are not so big because there are very few women digital entrepreneurs. And for us, it's a hard time to find them, to identify them, and bring them the support they need. But once they're in the community, we see wonderful results. Now, I wanted to take a minute also to maybe go back to the idea of having role models. In order to advocate and to show that women can also be successful players in this space, we rely on the support of a very small group of successful business leaders from different regions. Right now, we have 5 women advocates. They are nominated by UNCTAD Secretary General. It's an official mandate for the United Nations. And their role is twofold. First, they can engage with world leaders, governments, policymakers to help us change the narrative. And they also inspire the next generation. And I think, Emad, you were mentioning earlier that it's hard to find Arab names who are changing the digital landscape, who are making a big boom in the digital economy. Well, I wanted to take a few minutes to introduce you to Mona Ataya. So she is our advocate for eTrade for Women for the Arab region. And Mona has quite an inspiring journey. And Mrs. Dashti on the first panel, the opening panel, she was mentioning that to be an entrepreneur, you need to be persistent. Well, I think Mona's journey is one of persistence. She's from Palestinian origin. She's a refugee. She grew up in Lebanon and moved around different countries of the region. And in 2002, she left a very comfortable position in a big corporate multinational in Switzerland, deciding to start a business, a digital business in the region. So she traveled to the UAE with her brother, and they started the first platform. It's an employment platform online called Bay.com. It was a success. And then she decided to go on her own, and she started her own company, which is called Mum's World. Maybe some of you have used it. It's the first e-commerce platform in the region to sell every product related to kids, babies, mothers. It's been growing really fast, but when she started 10 years ago, nobody believed in her. She explained that she wanted to use internet, but internet connection was really bad in the region. People were not using anything online to purchase, to do purchases. Nobody really believed in her project. She was persistent. She had a vision. She explained that the first few years were really difficult. She never knew whether she would be able to pay her staff to still be open and have her website running the next month. Well, she persevered, and right now she has a flourishing company. Last year she sold the company. It's the highest women-led exit in the Arab region. And she has new ideas. She will now start a new venture in the health sector. So I think, I wish she could have been here with us, but I hope I told you a bit about her story, and I hope that you can use her as a role model, especially if there are women here who have doubts. Don't doubt yourself. It's possible. One last slide. If you want to learn about eTrade for Women, if you think you could join our community, you're a woman entrepreneur, simply if you want to support us or engage with us, you can scan the QR code here, check our website, and we're happy. I'm here with my colleague Sonia. We're also happy to share more about the program after this panel. Shukran jazilan.
Thank you so much, Viridiana. It was excellent and very exciting, and I see a lot of potential for further collaboration with other organizations in the region. Of course, we've been working with the ITC, the ICC Centers of Entrepreneurship with UNESCO. I think there's a lot of synergy with the e-commerce platforms, the ECAP program that ESQA is leading in the region as well. So that's very interesting. We have only 5 minutes before we close the session, so I'll actually do what I call quick fire questions. I'll ask you to answer my questions in less than 1 minute, if possible, but I'll be very straight to the point. And I'll start with Emad. Emad, you mentioned the soft skills. I'll always start with you. Sorry. You mentioned that you've been working to drive soft skills with young people in the region. In 1 minute or less, what is the main soft skill for an entrepreneur in your opinion, and why?
Okay, that's a tough question. But I already mentioned earlier that emotional intelligence is very important. But then if I have to choose something outside that scope, I would say definitely teamwork is very, very important. You need a great team and you need to work together amazingly. I've seen great success stories of people that because they worked in a very compatible way, they had great success stories. And then the quite opposite, teams that did not complete each other and the whole team just fell apart. I would say teamwork is very important.
Thank you so much. Laila, you've been sharing with us opportunities for smart cities, for entrepreneurs to become smart city entrepreneurs. If you could mention the top 3 cities in the region that you think will have more opportunities for future entrepreneurs for smart cities technologies, and why?
That's really a tough question. I have to say that every city has potential. And let me say something. Yesterday I met a lady. Amna, are you here? Amna from Tunisia? No, she's not here. But let me tell you something, because Amna, she came from Tunisia, and she told me that she's working in the street lights. And I said, wow, that's really amazing. Because one of the main elements, as I said, when it comes to the smart cities, it's all our cities. Every city has potential. So don't think that the potentials are outside your city. Every city, there is a potential. So Amna invention was, improving, let me say, the public street lights. And one of the main challenges that we all, in all our cities, so if you want to become a smart city, one of the main things that you have to provide in your city is the street lights, right? You cannot drive or walk without street lights. So this is one of the elements. So the potentials is everywhere. And I'm inviting everyone here. You are all here. Don't leave this forum. And you are not making partnership with somebody next to you. It's a great opportunity. If somebody is inventing somebody, okay, tell him, I need to have that partnership with you so you can go back to your city and have that solution with them. It's a great opportunity, but if you are just attending to listen to us, you are going to be a loser. So make sure to network, sign MOUs, legal, let me say, partnership. It's really great opportunity, and we are also learning from all of you. Honestly, I now wanted to be an entrepreneur also.
Thank you, Laila. That was really, really interesting. I'll turn now to Ali. Ali, of course, we have even in the room some of the beneficiaries and startups and SMEs in the region, and individuals have been benefiting with the initiatives that you presented. But in terms of the jobs of the future, what do you think are the top 3 jobs of the future for the region? If you might want to mention the 3 top careers.
Can I twist the question a little bit, just
Of course.
to add something that I believe in? I grew up in a village in northern Jordan, just a few kilometers from Syrian borders. And for us in that village, to get any opportunity, you have always to travel. So the dream is, to get job is to travel. It's either to Amman or abroad. What I believe, what I dream of, that we can provide the opportunity for them while they are in Jordan. We don't need to send people out. We just empower them to become solo entrepreneur, freelancers, remote workers. I believe one day one of the people in my village could be working in Apple or Google. Why he's there? We don't need to send people out. And that's to add on the question. Go for digital skills, web developments, anything related to digital skills, design skills, because it's easy to export, and of course, data analytics. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ali. That was great. And last question, because we are running out of time, to Viridiana. You mentioned one of the entrepreneurs, the women entrepreneurs that you used as an example. You told us that she needs to believe in herself. What is the advice that you'd give today yourself, Viridiana, as based on your personal experience and experience with the women entrepreneurs in the region, to the women entrepreneurs that are here today? If you have one advice on top of that one of believing in yourself, what would be your advice?
I think it's important to connect with other people who can share your experience, who can support you when it's difficult, because we heard it many times, being an entrepreneur is difficult, but you're not lonely. And you need to have this support system, be it your friends, your family, or other entrepreneurs who are going through the same journey. But yes, I believe in people's solidarity to move forward. So yeah, that would be my word.
Thank you so much. And I think we might have time for just one question. I'm not sure if we have time, but please, do we have a mic on the room, please? And I'll let my colleagues from ESQA to tell me if we still have time or not. But I think we go for one question.
Thank you. My name is Ahmed Hassan from Somalia. I want to thank ESQA and everyone who took part in this event. I wanted to ask all the panels, I don't know which question, I don't know, I will choose Ali to answer that question. And startups and innovation and innovators in Africa and also Arab countries are facing a lack of capacities, and they are very hard to access the finance. So while these giants seems doubting, they are planking forward they are starting their own business. Sometimes they fail, sometimes they succeed. So I wanted to ask Ali, how can we expand startups and innovators in Arab states to access finance across Arab regions? For example, one startup from Egypt, is it possible to find access in Jordan? One startups in Jordan, is it possible to find access to finance in other Arab countries? So is it possible to build a financial ecosystem to Arab state and countries innovations so that they build their own startups? Thank you.
Hello? Yes, I will be very quick. Of course, yes, you can. Yes, if you have a good startup, it's not only the Arab region, anyone in the world will fund you and give you the access. What you need to do is to build a really good MVP, to have a convincing, because if it's only in the idea stage, it's not easy. We always see these startups in the idea stage. I love the point that, okay, we have really good idea, but without the implementation, it means nothing. And once you have the MVP, and it's happening here, a lot of startups moving from Jordan, Saudi Arabia, to Dubai, to Doha, and around. I guess you can submit your business plans to a lot of accelerators in the region. And yes, of course you can. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other answers from the panelists? Anyone else? So do we have time for a final question? I'm asking the organizers. We might not have for yes. Okay, let's go for another one. And if there are other questions, we can just do in the same row, and then I will turn to the panelists back in.
Hello, everyone. I'd love to thank the ISQA for organizing this event. My name is Laila Barmawi from Jordan, and I'm really happy for attending this session. Thank you for each and every one of you. Let me just say this to everyone and to Emad. I'm skipping my lectures at uni to attend today's session and summit, and I'm happy for that because I think there's many things they don't teach us at school and unis, and this is one of the things that we don't learn at schools. If I want to ask you a question, okay, so what's the things that should be done by our side, youth, towards the global innovation, to empower us, youth, because there's a quote in Arabic, excuse me to say it in Arabic, حق الشباب على الشباب. يعني اليوم إذا بنشتغل لازم إحنا الشباب ندعم بعض to empower ourselves as youth. What should be done, the step we should take from our side towards this impact, to create more impact to ourselves and to create more opportunities to the Arabs youth. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. I hope your professor doesn't know that you skipped the class and be here.
The president of university just liked my post on LinkedIn.
Great.
So yeah.
Great. But good on you. Good choice. To answer your question, first of all, we all agree that the Arab world is a very young population. More than 50% of the Arab population is below 30 years old. So it is very important to hear them out. And I think that there are already a lot of platforms across the Arab region that would listen. My advice is to Arab youth is to speak up, is to talk, is to move, get outside your comfort zone. The reason why I'm saying this, and I don't want to be cynical or anything, but I deal with a lot of youth, and I hear them out. I'm not that old, by the way, okay? And I hear them out. And what bothers me is that a lot of them don't want to take the risk and get outside their comfort zone. A lot of them complain and nag, but I don't see them move ahead with something. Are there people that would listen and would take them from point A to point B? Yes, there are. You just need to take the first step. This is number one. Number two, I think the advice that I give a lot of people, and I'm happy you just answered it because you're here, always surround yourself with the right crowd. Surround yourself with the right network. You want to be an entrepreneur? Go mingle with entrepreneurs. You want to be an engineer? Go mingle with engineers. You have to put yourself in the right situation so that the opportunity will come up. The opportunity will not come to you. You need to go there. So this is a very simple, humble piece of advice that I always give the youth. I hope that helps.
Yeah, pretty much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Well, please join me in a round of applause to all panelists. Thank you so much. And that was a great discussion. And I wish you all a great day and great continuation of the event. Thank you.